we work to develop Wendy's Fresh AI with this mission to create more meaningful connections between customers and also our crew members.
It seems like it might be simple, but then when you start getting into all these permutations of the different ways people could ask for things, it's all of a sudden far more complicated.
How do we develop an AI solution that is groundbreaking, revolutionizes the drive-thru experience, but also has the potential to revolutionize the broader QSR industry?
What are some of the lessons learned or best practices from your AI journey? What do you think companies might find valuable?
I could probably write a book on it at this point.
You are listening to the AI with Maribel Lopez podcast, or AI with ML. If this is your first time listening, thank you for joining. The AI with Maribel Lopez podcast is brought to you by the Data for Betterment Foundation. This podcast shares the stories of the people behind the new world of data and AI. What are they creating? And why does it matter? If you like this episode, please subscribe so you can easily find the podcast again. You can find the video version of this podcast at youtube.com at AI with Maribel Lopez. You can also share your feedback and ideas with me on X, also known as Twitter, and LinkedIn. All links are in the show notes. Extended show notes, episodes, and transcripts can be found at lopezresearch.com/podcast. I hope you'll enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to the program. I'm Maribel Lopez, and as always, I'm excited to be talking to real practitioners about how they're looking at using AI. It's a really interesting time in the space, and I'm actually excited to talk to a company I've spoken before, but to a new CIO that I haven't spoken with before, Matt Spessard. Matt is the CIO of Wendy's. Matt, welcome to the program.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to speak with you today, Maribel.
So much has been going on with Wendy's as it relates to AI over the course of the past couple of years. So I was wondering if you could maybe start by providing us an overview of what Wendy's AI strategy is and how it aligns with the company's overall vision, because that's one of the things that's been very interesting for companies. There's AI for tech, and then there's really what does it do for the business, right? So
yeah, I think it's a great question, right? And a very appropriate way to kick us off. As you think about the technology vision at Wendy's, right? We're really focused on how do we deliver fast, frictionless, and fun experiences for both our restaurants and our customers through forward-leaning technology. And we really work to do that in service of the Wendy's promise. So fresh, famous food made right for you, right? And as we obsess over how to make our customers and employees' lives better, we're really passionate about choosing the right tool for the right job. So when you think about AI covers a spectrum of capabilities. And as we look at these capabilities, we try to basically evaluate them as options in the technology toolbox. So if we're working to solve a problem and we identify that AI would be appropriate for that problem, then we determine which capability on the AI spectrum is really best suited for that role. So that could be more traditional machine learning, powering data science models, or it could also be generative AI, depending on whatever makes the most sense for that particular problem.
Makes perfect sense. How long ago did Wendy's start on its AI journey? And where do you think you are in the curve?
If you think about AI as this, again, broad spectrum of capabilities, we've been on it for quite a few years. I would say when I really think we started to turn the corner and get serious about where we were spending our time with, again, technologies inside of the artificial and intelligence spectrum, we really started to think about how we might be able to solve the challenge of how to improve the drive-thru. And look, Wendy's has a long-standing legacy of driving innovation across the QSR industry. And you think about drive-thru, really you go all the way back to 1970, right? Wendy's founder Dave Thomas introduced a breakthrough innovation. He called it the pickup window. And this innovation really revolutionized the customer restaurant experience while also building this global iconic brand that fans know today. And since that time, the drive-thru has really been, I think, long overdue for innovation, right? Inaccurate orders and missed opportunity for upsells, all these things have real business impact. And our customers expect speed and convenience at every single visit. So I would say really about the end of 2022, after we'd started to evaluate our broader cloud strategy, we started to ask ourselves the question of how we might improve this experience. And one of the things that we discussed is the potential for a conversational AI solution that could help automate the ordering experience and really um, potentially, help solve a lot of the issues that have been in front of us. And automating the drive-thru is a challenge that the QSR industry, I think, it's tried to solve for really many years, but nobody's really been able to do it at some level of scale. And so when we went down this path, we were thinking, okay, what if we have not just the right technology, but the right partnership? And that's where we really started to lean in with our friends at Google Cloud and start to think about, okay, how do we develop an AI solution that is groundbreaking, revolutionizes the drive-through experience, but also has the potential to revolutionize the broader QSR industry. And so we work to develop Wendy's Fresh AI with this mission to create more meaningful connections between customers and also our crew members by providing a technology that is both authentic to the Wendy's brand, but also simple and convenient to use. And we did this using generative AI technology, but also the large language models that were available in Google Cloud. And we applied natural language processing on top of this technology to effectively enable casual conversations with customers that includes the ability to understand things like made to order requests or the power to generate responses to frequently asked questions, as an example. And a lot of the other experiments in the space up to this point have really been done with more traditional rule-based AI chatbots,
Yeah.
which take years of development, a lot of work to maintain. Especially if you think about not just adding new menu products, but expanding capabilities. And so instead of using this traditional rule-based system, we decided to leverage generative AI so that we could generate responses and adapt in real time instead of just following this narrow set of rules.
Is this what you
And
call the Wendy's Fresh AI? Or is that?
yeah, and we developed it as an assistant, right? Or an extra set of hands, not a replacement. It's really how do we free up our crew members to better serve our customers, and I think ultimately could just create this additional level of convenience. And it it not just excels, I think it the conversational aspect at the high level, which is incredibly important, but also order accuracy. You think about language capabilities, diverse menu offerings. Um, and really kind of putting the crew members in the position where they can focus more on adding warmth and smiles and the special touches that make customers feel welcome.
And you mentioned language. So is it available in multiple languages now? I believe that was one of the
It
advances you
is.
made. Yeah.
It is.
Mhm.
We actually just launched in Spanish a few months ago, and so it's live in several states actually at this point. Most of our company locations that it's live are throughout Ohio and Florida, but we're actually live in some franchise locations as well. We're over 70 locations right now.
That's fabulous. And when you think about what has changed in that time, there's been a lot of evolution in the AI market. So it's been great to see. You mentioned this concept of having hard code everything, and
Yeah.
think about all the potential options that could be that would make a chatbot style experience work. And really, in a market like yours, I don't think that that's very easy to do. You have lots of menu items, lots of permutations of things that could be done. It seems like that would be very fragile. So it's nice to see that we're with generative AI, we're moving into a different way of being able to approach it so that it can be more usable for both the employees and the customers. So that's the good. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, it's been a while. I'm sure as one of the earlier pioneers, there's always some arrows that one has to take to make this happen. So I'm wondering, what were some of the challenges you faced while developing and implementing AI at Wendy's, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. Well, first, let me just say the journey up to this point has been incredible because when you think about when we first started, we effectively, had a laptop sitting on a counter, and we were having very simple conversations with this laptop to try and understand, what does it look like to interact with an untrained model before we start layering in menu technology or our menu structures and things like that, and trying to translate that to English, right? Because people don't normally talk in double cheeseburger. So, trying to really, I think, navigate that was an interesting experiment. So we spent a lot of time in the lab environment, right? Just getting the data into the model correctly, understanding responses, um, and frankly, iterating a ton until we got to the point where we feel confident actually putting it in a restaurant, even for a small subset of products, right? Because initially, when we started our testing, we were really focused on let's nail breakfast, and let's talk about what that means because it's a simpler menu with less customization than some of our other day parts. So we spent a lot of time just nailing in breakfast before we started to think about how to expand to other day parts. And one of the things that I think was interesting about that journey is well, one, I just think how open-minded the crew was, right, about all of these experiments, but also the customers as well. I mean, most of our Wendy's fans choose the drive-thru as their preferred ordering channel, but it's kind of difficult to automate with AI because, I mean, one, customers expect their order to be fast. They expect to be able to order multiple items, add or cancel items, use maybe names for products that we wouldn't use. So like you may say milkshake, and I'm like, okay, a frosty, got it, right? Like they need to understand those things, especially when it happens inside of a single sentence, and ultimately receive exactly what they want at the pickup window. So in addition to that, you've got the customization, right? There's billions of combinations to be able to order something as simple as like a Dave's Double, and our menu items are prepared to order. So you may have regional, seasonal, or limited time offers. You have this idea that things are prepared to order, and a single order can require over 30 product decisions in addition to the customization options that are available. And the third thing that I think brought a lot of challenges for us to navigate is this concept of ambient noise on the drive-thru, right? So you could have thunderstorms, street noise, a vehicle full of people, a train passing by in the distance. All of these things make it more difficult to hear an order before you even start applying any of the technology to it. So our team spent thousands of hours in restaurants observing and talking to the crew and really the customers as well, just to learn more and more about their order experience so we could iterate. And so from one of the on-site learnings, right, was we knew Wendy's Fresh AI needed to be able to understand that if somebody says, I want a JBC, that's a junior bacon cheeseburger, it seems like a simple concept, but the menu data doesn't say JBC anywhere.
No.
So you have to be able to inference, right, from the data that's available, but that's what they actually need. And I think really having the crew just on the technology side, being fully immersed in the front lines of the ordering process is the thing that really helped our team quickly tailor the technology for an industry leading solution. And we spent a lot of time just building this comprehensive database of menu items and customizations and doing all of the what you might refer to as semantic mapping exercises, right? Getting things from Wendy's language to something more conversational that the assistant could leverage.
I think this is one of the big differences when you think of something like the flatness of a mobile or web ordering experience that a company could deliver versus someone just talking into a machine or speaking to a person. And what you start to realize is the permutations are much greater when they don't have just like select this specific menu item using this button. And you mentioned the milkshake example. That's a really great example. So as an organization, when you're approaching AI, you might not even have an awareness of how many different potential ways somebody could define the product that they want to engage with you. And that actually takes a lot of time. So that lesson that you just gave there, I think is a critically important one to organizations on how you do that mapping, how much of that mapping you have to do, how complex that mapping is. Because a lot of times you think, well, the product, it seems like it might be simple. But then when you start getting into all these permutations of the different ways people could ask for things, it's all of a sudden far more complicated. And if you could do any customization, that adds a whole other layer. So thank you for sharing that. One of the things I know that everybody struggles with in their organizations is the concept of there's a lot of things we could do with AI. So how do we think about metrics or results from AI efforts? And obviously you're in the QSR space, so quick serve restaurant space. From your perspective, how did you think about metrics or ROI, or was it just first we want to innovate and transform, and then we'll figure out what that means later?
Well, certainly, I would say we would normally approach the any challenges that we want to solve from the opposite perspective, right? Like, what are the metrics that we
Yeah.
think will drive a better experience, and then how might we apply technology? We love to experiment, but I think it's always got to be in service of something that's going to drive the business forward. And in this scenario, it was really about how can we improve our accuracy, the speed, and customer satisfaction scores. And we're seeing really good results from that, right? From a speed perspective, the benefits of speed of service continue throughout the time a customer is actually in the drive-thrus, from the time that they order, obviously, till the time that they leave the pickup window, with their hot crispy fries or frosty or what have you. But we're seeing a full 22 seconds faster than the average in one of our leading sites in Columbus. And then on an accuracy front, other companies working in this space define the term accuracy as any order that is started by the AI assistant and then submitted to the point of sale system. So if, for example, a crew member had to come in and take over the order, we would remove that from the accuracy score, right? That would lower what we would think of as accuracy. So another way to think about it would be completion rates, but we've been measuring that very consistently throughout the testing process. And a lot of the other solutions that folks have either purchased in the marketplace or developed on their own generally hover in the mid 80s in terms of accuracy as it relates to completion rates. But we're seeing actually accuracy rates at this point in the high 90% range with Fresh AI, with all the iteration that we've done over the last year and some change.
And that probably goes back to that semantic mapping discussion you were talking about earlier, as part of helping to improve that accuracy, right? So if you are to think of what are some of the lessons learned or best practices from your AI journey, what do you think companies might find valuable from your experiences?
I could probably write a book on it at this point, to be frank with you. But we we
Good.
we spent would spend a significant amount of time analyzing customer reactions, including things like pitch and tone of voice, and then try to understand what's the feedback from not just the customers, but also the crew members as they hear these interactions. So this feedback loop, right, ensures that we continue to provide a frictionless and accurate experience, while obviously showing Wendy's commitment to customer service, quality, and continuous improvement. So I'll give you an example. Early on in the innovation process, we uncovered an opportunity to enhance the hospitality of the interaction offered via the Wendy's Fresh AI assistant. We spent a lot of time on the cadence of the interaction, how fast was the assistant talking, what's the tone of the interaction, what's the phrasing being used, and in response, we spent a lot of time tuning that, right, making enhancements throughout the process, ensuring that the assistant was as friendly as possible, and then measuring those results, and then just going back and iterating again, right? Like this idea that even just 1% better every day is very meaningful over time. So that's one thing that obviously I would share. And then I think also the idea that if you not just engage your crew and your customers very early on, but for us also, our stakeholders are our franchisees. And even very close to the beginning, when we had this kind of laptop on a counter trying to figure out if we can, order a Dave single before we would even put anything in a restaurant, with some modifications, we demoed that to our franchisees all the time. We're huge advocates of demo days here at Wendy's. And so they actually got to see the progression over time from, okay, it was kind of difficult to handle those initial interactions, to now Fresh AI speaks Spanish fluently in the drive-thru. And I would say seeing that improvement over time, right? The results of the feedback loop are one of the most incredible testaments to, I think, the not just the success that the team encountered as a result of building this technology, but also the trust that they built with the stakeholders as well. So I think just being super transparent about the journey and what you're trying to accomplish, and just showing progress those are huge learnings, I would say, that are super beneficial to consider as you look at other efforts.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I think feedback and sometimes co-innovation, depending on what the organization looks like, is really important. And we often expect something to work one way and expect that that's the problem we're trying to solve. But then when you actually start talking to people about it, it's like, well, it should be a little more like this or a little more like that. And I think cadence is one thing that's really interesting, particularly when you think about AI. Tone and cadence is, does it does it sound friendly? Is it something I want to engage with? Do I think it's going to do what it should do? And things are like that. There's a lot of human aspect to it that I think we're still sorting through as organizations. But so many things that we could be doing moving forward. I was wondering, from where you sit, how do you see AI transforming the quick service restaurant industry in the next, I'm not even going to say several years because it's moving so fast right now, but put whatever time frame on it. What do you see as the opportunity, I guess, would be a way to phrase it.
Well, I think at Wendy's, what we're excited about is when we started down this journey with Fresh AI, we thought about it at the outset as a platform with capability, right? And so, yes, the technology itself helps position us as pioneers in the industry, but we were trying to think about what are other use cases besides the drive-through where we can potentially scale the technology over time, and how do we build it in a way that allows that to happen? So, big fans of platform-oriented approaches at Wendy's. As you start to think about this omnichannel approach with Fresh AI, you could start to think about, how does this show up in the mobile app? How does this show up in kiosks? How would it show up in other ordering channels that we can introduce into the digital ecosystem over the coming years? So that's one thing that I'm super passionate about, just as it relates to Fresh AI and really the voice component of AI. I think also, though, is one of the things that I'm excited about with AI generally is that it's becoming ubiquitous, right? It's existed for many years, but the rapid democratization of generative AI is very exciting to me. When your family members start talking to you about their own prompt engineering experiments, right? In addition to the data scientists on your team, I think it really starts to illustrate how widely accepted AI is becoming. And so when you think about the restaurant industry, right? It means that the change management associated with bringing AI into your organization is much lighter. So crew members are already using these technologies in social media and other places. So it's practically expected that it will be present when they come to work. And that makes things a lot easier because we can go faster with the experiments. We can iterate when we've identified a use case that might make our crew members' lives easier or streamline the experience of our customers. And I think we're still very early in understanding how much we can improve the restaurant industry, but I'm certain that those improvements will be exponential over the next 5 to 10 years, and that we should see a similar increase in employee and customer satisfaction as a result.
I think there's just a tremendous opportunity all around. Matt, you've done so much great work. It was so great talking to you about what's going on at Wendy's. You already answered my last question, which is what excites you. So, are there any closing thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with as they think about approaching AI for their businesses?
The only closing thoughts I would offer is that I would remember that AI generally, right? Broad spectrum of technologies. You got to figure out the use case that's going to make the most sense for your business. Generative AI certainly is the sexiest of the technologies, I would say, as of late, but it is not the type of technology that will fit all use cases. So I think that folks should think very pragmatically about the way that they would apply that technology to their business and think about the right tool. And then also, I think take advantage of the fact that there is this growing ubiquity of AI technology, and think about how to do small scale experiments in the organization just to continue to get folks exposed to the capabilities that could be. And then I think you'll find over time that you'll get this pull from your business, right? Where it's like, okay, I loved what you did with X. Can you show me what it might look like if you were trying to do something similar with Y? And then if you start to evangelize that more and more in the concept of a demo day or whatever, I think you can more organically grow the usage of not just AI, but other technologies that I think we'll see permeate the marketplace over the coming years.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited the fact that we are not just talking about AI, which seemed to be the thing that we just spoke about, like generally, like what could it do? Could it do anything? To being much more specific about, I've got this particular type of problem. I need a customer service chatbot. I need coding assistance. I need better automated IT operations. There's like so many opportunities within an organization. So I look forward to hearing what you build next, because you've been building great things all along and helping pioneer the future of both the restaurant industry and AI. So thanks for your time and attention, Matt.
Thank you.
And we'll be talking to you soon, folks. Cheers. Thank you for listening. Additional content can be found at lopezresearch.com/podcasts. Until next time, wishing you all the best.